The Friends of Eddie Coyle is an early 70s movie with Robert Mitchum as the title character. And the title's interesting in that it's extremely misleading, as the entirety of the film will demonstrate to its bitter end. So Eddie Coyle is, he's a criminal. And he runs guns for other criminals who are going to commit crimes with those guns. Most notably is these bank robbers who have this scheme going. And they have a different disguise. They're always masked, but they have interesting choices of masks throughout, I mean, the first set of masks they use would be good enough, but I suppose each time they want to do it differently because the authorities are at a loss as to who the hell are these guys, why can't we catch them, and this sort of thing is going to be a hard case to crack and all that sort of thing. But what they do is first they do some intelligence work on the different banks they're going to rob. So they case it, they look around, they figure out who's who. Understand their hours and whatnot, the lay of the bank and so on and so forth. And eventually they show up in the early hours before the chief banker leaves for work, and they abduct him. And one of the members of the gang stays behind in his home to hold his family hostage. And off they go to the bank and instructing him what to do. And so they go in and take over the bank and hold all the staff and everybody in it. At this time, they're just about to open, so they get in using the banker. And so there's no customers or anything. And after that, everything follows through with the plan. They get the money. They take the banker and leave him stranded on the road somewhere, and they go pick up their guy from the home, and everybody makes it out okay. It's just the money got stolen, and that's how they operate. Well, eventually things go south, and one of the, of course, as is always the case, no matter how smart you think you are, crime is just not good. It's bad. So that's the guys that Eddie is working for, getting them the guns. He gets the guns by outsourcing the gun running with this younger guy who actually goes and picks up the guns from other shady characters. Meanwhile, he's got other clients that he's dealing with and so on and so forth. And a lot of the charm of the movie is in the performances and how well fleshed out the actors are doing this, and most notably, of course, Robert Mitchum, and the state that he's in. It turns out he's already facing charges for a heist that went down earlier before the movie begins and all that. And he's going to have to go do some time in prison for his part in it. And he's trying to get a deal, so he's talking to this ATF agent, what can I do? Well, you got to give me something. So, you got to give up somebody else. So ultimately he does, he feels bad about it, but it's not enough. So he's got to give more, and he really doesn't want to. But in the end, he decides, this is what I got to do. At his age and everything, he's just, I can't. He's already done his time in prison before. He said, hey, I've taken the fall. But right now, I just can't do another stint. Even though his initial guy he gives up, I think it was going to shave some years off, but still, like at his age, he was a younger man when he went last time. And now he's looking to get out, move to Florida, this sort of thing. And so that's the deal. But turns out the ATF is able to figure out the bank robbery scheme on their own. And so now he has nothing. However, they got caught, so the suspicion is on him. He was going to give them up, but he never got the chance to do it. And, well, there's a price to pay. Yeah. Yeah. And it turns out he's unaware of a certain thing going on. I'll leave it at that. But it's just as it goes, and you got some characters who ultimately you see how they ply their trade and all this, and what the younger guy's doing. And it's interesting that on the one hand, he was smart enough to figure some things out, but ultimately very stupid in how he goes down and that kind of thing. For Eddie, he's not stupid. It's just there's no way he could know the ultimate ends. And how he ends up, it's explainable in that he's like, well, I got to go back to prison. There's no way out of it. And maybe I can get out early. I don't know, and he's just kind of bummed and depressed about it. And he's got to leave his wife by herself and all this type of stuff. You can understand the position he's in, that he doesn't see what's coming and that sort of thing. So I chalk it up to that. Whereas the younger guy, well, yeah, you walked into that. And you had to, because he's aware of Eddie's situation and stuff like that, because he tells him, I'm too old to go back to prison, that kind of thing. Hint, hint, you're young, so and it's pretty much laying the cards out on the table. If you didn't look at them, that's on you. But ultimately, it gets back to the title. It's the Friends of Eddie Coyle. And, I guess his wife cared about him, so there's that. Everybody else, there are all these people he knows. He's worked for them a long time. They even talk each other up and stuff. They have little visits and all that, and he goes and gets drinks and talks to this guy and that one, talks business, all that stuff. These are the friends. Well, in the end, you understand, in the criminal underworld, there are no friends. So poor Eddie, don't care what the title says. He had no friends, and ultimately he wasn't much of a friend either. He was looking to toss him. He felt bad about it, especially at the end there. But he doesn't get the chance to do it, and he still pays the price for it. So it's kind of a sad story, but there is that powerful lesson in the irony of the title, and that once again, in the criminal world, there are no friends.